The Rift Lore, Part 3. Thenophan's Mysteries of Mead. There's a reason I was kicked out of Daggerfall, chased out of Eldenroot, and banned from Mournhold. I have tried every variety of intoxicant, wine, ale, and Argonian swill this world has to offer. I have sampled skooma with Khajiit, licked an Argonian history, and hunted magical toads with the Bosma. None of that compares to Nord Mead. There is nothing like it. The purest stuff is made in Nord villages, but we're at war with the Nords, and a Breton has no guarantee of surviving a trip like that. Leave that sort of thing to the professionals. There is still hope, however. If you are ever at a tavern and there's a cask of Nord Mead, you'd be a fool to pass it up. Mead is made by fermenting honey and water, though a few recipes call for molasses. Sometimes you add grain mash and strain it, but that isn't necessary. Some of the high elves call it honey wine, but mead needs more than good honey. Every meadery has its own recipes. After you drink enough mead, you'll learn the names of the brewmasters who create them. A drunk Nord will gladly punch another in the face over the honour of a good brewmaster. And then again, a drunk Nord will punch anyone for just about anything. Every brewmaster has a distinct blend of spices, fruit, and sometimes hops, which makes a mead bitter, but which makes some Nords bitter too. I've even heard tales of mead mixed with the blood of heroes, allegedly granting them words of a poet or a skald. I'd like a mead named after me, but I'm not going to bleed for it. An Altmer once told me that brewing is the basis of all culture. It's why our ancestors started farming and forming cities. It's what we do when we've got too much wheat and barley and hops and we're sick of farming. The culture of drinking seems to be what keeps the Nords together. Nords must be really sick of farming because they brew and drink a prodigious amount of mead. Whenever a cask of really good mead is opened, Nords gather around because they know the cask won't last long. But if you don't know how to behave in Nord culture, you'll end up broken, hungover, and helpless. I found out the hard way. Nords love to drink, but more than that, Nords respect those who can endure adversity. I know that sounds flowery for explaining why two drunk Nords would have a hit-me-in-the-face contest, but really, that's why their culture celebrates getting drunk. A Nord can gain respect by consuming more mead than anyone else, just as he's respected for surviving a blizzard or killing a bear with a sharp stick. Nord honor is something they talk about endlessly when they're drunk, and even more when they're sober. So the first thing you learn about Nords is if you want their respect, never turn down a drink. It's a test. If you can't handle that next drink, leave. Otherwise, you'll wake up somewhere they find hilarious, but you won't be laughing. The Nords also love their skalds. Songs and stories go over well with a drunk audience once they've had enough of brawling, boasting, and throwing axes at each other. Their songs are all about how they're better than everyone else at everything. They've all heard these over and over again, so bring some of your own. They're desperate to hear something new. Anywhere you go, drinking is also a good way to redress a mistake or make an apology, and it's the same with Nords. If you lose a contest, you need to buy a drink. If you make a mistake, you need to buy a drink. If you offend someone, you need to buy a drink. If you're insulted, stand there and take it, and then you need to buy a drink. You don't have to be the best brawler around to survive a room full of drunken Nords. You can also impress them by being clever or being talented, but you better be really good. When it's time to take a punch in the face, you better be ready for a punch in the face. If you don't like getting punched, there are some things you should never talk about, like politics, who's the best brewmaster, and who punches the hardest. And never demand to know why someone just punched you in the face. If you want to hear more, buy me a drink the next time I'm in Daggerfall, and I'll tell you a story. Touch of the Worm Tongue. Day 13. It has been discovered that a strict reliance on the preserving salts, while undesirable for outward appearances, contains the highest rate of conversion success. Day 17. Before the dark fluids are returned to the vessel, it is necessary to purge all remaining blood, most especially from the primary organs. Day 19. Though it pains the host enough to occasionally result in death, forcing water into the lungs may prevent future spasms of pus coughs. Day 23. Only under rare circumstances should the vessel exhibit symptoms of its former life. Should this become a problem during the initiation stage, it is often best to discard the work. Day 29. It was revealed today that the host can reject the vessel if not carefully prepared in the specific manner in which we have been instructed. This is a grave affront to the host, and not something that will be taken lightly should your work on the vessel be sloppy enough to cause this. Day 31. There are 2 recent shortcut practices which have been found to cause unreliable lifespans for the vessels. It is important not to take any shortcuts during preparation. Those responsible for the propagation of the false knowledge have been dealt with. Day 37. The first shining example of our future has been created. The host and vessel are joined perfectly, and the resulting power is breathtaking. Unexpected allies. When I was a lass, I stood on the eastern edge of Skyrim and looked upon Morrowind. From Stendar's beacon I could see Red Mountain of Vardenfell, but never ventured there. Like many Nords, I was content to leave foreign lands to foreigners. A scant 10 years ago, in Second Era 572, my father took a different path. He fought with our Dunmerry allies to repel the Second Akaviri invasion. As a soldier of Skyrim, he was there when the Nords pursued the invaders into Stonefalls. He told me of an army on the brink of ruin, marching ever further into foreign territory, hungry and nearly broken, until the Dunmer brought in Argonian troops to aid the Nords. No one expected this. I still cannot believe it. The Dunmer once held the Argonians as slaves, yet on that day the Argonians' arrival changed the course of history. From the jungles they came, adorned with the blood and mud. Akaviri fell beneath their claws, as well as the swords and spells of the Nord and Dunmerry allies. An alliance was forged that day, and has never faltered since. Agreements were signed in Ebonheart, but these were formalities compared to the ties made on the battlefield. Our alliance was forged in the fires of adversity, a shield to protect us from invaders. Our cultures differ, but our aims bind us. A few years ago, the Dunmerry Tribunal called for more troops from our alliance, insisting that we take up arms against a new enemy, an empire growing in Cyrodiil. Our enemies in the Covenant and Dominion also sent troops to liberate this territory. And now? War rages across Tamriel. Khajiit and Bosmer wage against Dunmer and Argonians. Aldmer strike against Skyrim, and from High Rock the Davokar Covenant attacks us all. In the midst of such chaos, what choice do we have? Our alliance with the Dunmer and Argonians has stood for a decade. I have fought beside our allies in battle, and when I return home I tell my children proud tales about victory over our foes, fighting with the Dunmer and Argonians beside me. The Pact never ceases to surprise me. I have spoken at great length with the Argonian mystics, marveling at their view of the world. I have walked in the caves of the Dunmerry priests, staring at the shadows. They tell me their tales of their gods. And some day we will walk together in the heart of Cyrodiil, Dunmer, Argonians, and Nords. We will triumph under the banner of the Pact, steadfast allies who can never be defeated. I hope you've been enjoying these lore readings, and if you have, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.